In this lesson, I intentionally integrate the element of background knowledge, which is central to the significance dimension of the QTM. My strategy is to link two scientific ideas with students' everyday experiences and personal interests. For example, I began the lesson by asking, "Why can't you bring honey to Kangaroo Island?" The simple question immediately connects to students' background knowledge about security and invasive species, creating relevance and curiosity. As May and Pecrast argue, middle years learners are highly motivated when content is meaningful and connects to their lives. This approach makes the science of selective pressure and adaptation not just theoretical but personally significant. By activating students' prior experiences, I'm helping them contrast new understanding through familiar contexts. A practice that aligns strongly with contrast-based pedagogy and the QTM's call for deep, connected learning. The second strategy focuses on questioning as a bridge to students' prior understanding. The QTM, back knowledge requires teachers to deliberately link students' existing ideas with new concepts. Here, I use guided questioning such as, what happens when a new species enters an ecosystem? Why do species thrive while others despair? These prompts invite students to share personal or cultural knowledge before we share personal or cultural knowledge before we introduce formal scientific terms. According to the new NSW Department of Education, this process of activating that knowledge depends on engagement and encourages students to construct meaning. From a middle year's perspective, this strategy respects students' voices, values, their lived experiences, and recognizes diversity as a learning resource. It turns the classroom into a space of dialogue rather than transmission, which is so crucial for adolescent learners developing both identity and critical thinking. For the engagement element within the quality learning environment dimension, I use game-based learning to introduce the concept of selection pressure. Students role play as a different species competing for resources in a simulated ecosystem. Through physical interaction, they experienced what environmental pressure really feels like. This aligns with Groveman, who emphasizes learning by doing science education. During the game, I deliberately create a supportive classroom climate that promotes inclusion, respect, safety, and belonging. Key features of effective middle years pedagogy. This approach transforms abstract theory into embodied understanding. Students feel the emotional tension of survival, making scientific reasoning both meaningful and memorable. By linking ecology competition to familiar experiences like teamwork or families, fairness, and ensure learning is relevant and engaging. Reflecting main and pedagogy's principle and that engagement grows from personal connection. Following the game, I implement a cooperative learning strategy to strengthen engagement through peer collaboration. Students who play different species share and compare their strategies, analyzing why some groups succeed. Through open-ended discussion, they co-construct explanation with teacher guidance. This process embodies the idea learning through social interaction within the zone of proximal development. It also nurtures autonomy and choice, and students decide how to present their findings and reflections according to main and project. Providing autonomy and voice enhances students' sense of belonging and empowerment, key components of well-being in the middle years. Thus, this strategy doesn't just engage students physically, but also socially and intellectually, creating a classroom community where collaboration and inquiry drive learning. The first meta-language strategy aims to move students from intuitive understanding to formal abstract scientific reasoning through scaffolded questioning. After the game, ask reflective questions such as which species survived better and what factors gave them an advantage. This guides students toward articulating the term selection pressure and linking to the adaptation. Disruptive questioning supports students in using scientific language to describe their thinking, developing their meta-language and conceptual precision. Goodman highlights that scaffolding reflection helps students construct deep understanding from experience. Through this process, and continue the mentoring of a supportive learning environment where the diverse opinions are respected and students feel confident and express ideas. Middle years classrooms such as metacognitive reflection is essential for developing both academic literacy and critical thinking. And the meta-language strategy builds on the collaborative meaning making. Students work in groups and then analyze and explain their game outcomes, co-constructing to a shared scientific understanding of selection pressure and adaptation. In this dialogue-rich process, students use, negotiate, and refine scientific language together, an authentic use of meta-language in action. A teacher's role here is to ensure an inclusive, respectful, and safe environment where every student feels sense of belonging and empowerment. Many and pedagogists know that such conditions support students' voice and agency, allowing them to take an ownership of learning. Moreover, by connecting the classroom activity to real-world issues, such as invasive species and climate change, students see science as relevant and purposeful. This approach integrates high intellectual challenge with emotional engagement, capturing the essence of quality teaching in the middle years.